and was reminded it's a great area and what a beautiful area it is.
Saturday downtown was just hopping too. Boy, there were a lot of people out. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, Chair Postman, member Vollendroff, staff and guest. The lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Great. Thanks, Dustin. Good morning, everybody. We'll convene the Liquor and Cannabis Board Caucus meeting for June 5th, 2023. Member Garrett is on leave today. Our first item up is a policy and rules update and board meeting prep. And I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Hoffman, our research manager.
Great, thank you, Chair Postman, and good morning to you and Board Member Vollendroff. So I'll go ahead and start with a rules update first and then move into the action item for the board meeting tomorrow. And I'll go ahead and start with the liquor and general rule update. And I'm just going to go down the line as they appear on the table that I use every month. So with respect to the Class 13 privilege review, we are going to roll that project into the substitute Senate Bill 5448 work. That's going to be longer rulemaking, and that was the alcohol delivery bill that passed this last legislative session. So Daniel's plan is to withdraw the CR 101 on Mass 13 and then refile when he brings the CR 101 for 5448 implementation on July 5th. So that's coming up here pretty soon. Moving on to trade areas, we do have draft conceptual rules ready to go there. And we are planning a hybrid engagement opportunity on July 18th there at LCB. So we're looking forward to that. We haven't had a rule development session in a while, and we're looking forward to using this hybrid model in the way that we've done board meetings. So we're looking forward to that, and we're using a different stakeholder engagement model than we have before. So as you might remember, we're retiring our listen and learn method and going to something a little more structured. The kind of an approach that other agencies use, but we're going to see how that works in the hybrid environment. So very much looking forward to that. With respect to private club memberships, that project is currently on pause. And then moving into the exception rules on substitute Senate Bill 5448, you approved a CR 102 at the last board meeting. We have not received any comment on that package yet. And of course, it's only been about a week, 2 weeks, but to date, no comment. There has been some outreach from Public Health and Prevention, and we'll be meeting with a representative this week with respect to that project. And then Daniel will be bringing, let's see, he's preparing the 101 for the liquor legislation implementation. There are 3 bills that he'll be presenting CR 101 on, I'm assuming on July 5th. Or perhaps June 21st. This table hasn't been updated. So I would say either the next board meeting or the July 5th board meeting, we'll see a 101 there. And then with respect to global entry ID cards, that project has also been temporarily paused. So any question on liquor rule updates?
Did you say there is draft conceptual rules on trade area?
Yes, there is.
Have you sent that yet?
I'm sorry?
Have you sent that to me yet? Is that in my inbox somewhere, or could you?
No, I can do that for you.
Okay,
typically, I'd provide that to you after we've done our external outreach, but I'm happy to provide them ahead of time.
I'd just be curious to see what it looks like. I'm just trying to get my head around that one still.
Of course, happy to share that.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, so any other questions on liquor rules in progress? Okay, so just moving into general rulemaking, and we just have the one project right now that's cloud storage. And of course, we filed the CR 101 on that earlier this year. Our approach at this point is going to be to withdraw that. We think we can address the concerns that were brought to the agency by way of the rule petition that triggered that project in agency guidance. And so we'll be developing that in the coming weeks, and then have a withdrawal to you probably July 5th or thereabout, maybe sometime thereafter. And then with respect to rule petitions, we do have a couple of petitions that Daniel will be bringing to you. The first has to do with, and this doesn't have to do with liquor, but it does have to do with vapor products. That's the petition that Mr. Gerard refiled in June. I'm sorry, yeah, in April, sorry. Daniel will be bringing the response to you on June 21st. We do have another petition received from Claire Mitchell that covered a variety of topics, but mostly just, some cleanup. And then also this has to do with artificial intelligence and using that when identifying IDs. Daniel will have the response ready to present to you on July 5th there. And then we just received a new rule petition with respect to microbreweries sharing warehouse space, and Daniel's working on that. And we do hope to have a response to you for consideration on July 19th. So that's it for liquor and general rule updates. Any questions? Additional?
Nope.
Okay.
Busy as
Are-
usual.
Yes. And now here's some more busy by way of the cannabis side. So with respect to the mailing checks project, that is a project that is currently on hold. With respect to implementation of 5367, I won't go into which substitute Senate bill, so on and so forth, but that's the THC bill that we're going to be implementing. At this point, Cassidy plans on bringing the Sierra 102 or Sierra 101 to you on June 21st. And then we continue to work on making a crosswalk of what needs to be changed in current rule, what kind of new rules we need to produce there, so on and so forth. So lots of work happening there. And of course, Cassidy is aligning that with the sampling project as well, because there's a lot of crossover between the topics that'll be addressed in the THC THC bill implementation, and the cannabis sampling rules. So lots of work going on there. With respect to social equity and cannabis, and that's 5080, we are still doing some internal work on implementing that because there's a lot of moving parts there. So we don't have a Sierra 101 date in mind at this point, although I do anticipate it'll be towards the end of July, middle or end of July, that we begin rulemaking there. But we do have a lot of work that we need to, background work that we need to do before we get that Sierra 101 put in motion. And that project will be, coming with me into the research unit as well, just as a reminder there. And then really that's all we have going on the cannabis side. I don't want to understate how much work that is, so those are some pretty big lifts moving on the cannabis side. We do have two rule petitions, one that I will be talking about here in a moment, that has to do with changing the action limit for DDE specifically in rule. And I will be presenting the final petition response to that to the board on Wednesday. So that's coming up. And then we do have a rule petition response that I'll bring to you on social equity scoring rubric. Specifically was item number 8 in the scoring rubric that was up for consideration. I'll bring the recommendation to you for that on June 21st. So any questions on the cannabis side?
I have none, thank you.
Not for me.
Okay, great. So lots going on there in rulemaking as usual. All right, so on Wednesday, I will present our petition response to a petition we received from Todd Luther, of Okanagan Gold on April 19th. And the issue that he presents is whether the board should initiate rulemaking to amend WAC 314-55108 that concerns pesticide action levels. And he'd like to see the action level, or for specifically DDE, which is a derivative of DDT, that is currently set at a default level of 0.1 parts per million to 0.5 parts per million. And he would like that specifically for DDE, again, which is a derivative of DDT. The analysis document that I provided to you gives a history of the rule background for 314.55.108. Won't get into that because I think I'm assuming that everyone's read that already. Gives you a little bit of history on how LCB got to that default action level of 0.1 for everything other than the 59 pesticide action levels that are listed in rule currently. A little bit of background response from our divisions within the agency. Not a lot of response there. We did have some response from public health and prevention, just pointing out that there haven't been any changes with respect to the way that we think about action levels for DDT and their derivatives in these products. So there are three options that were provided to you. They're the usual three: deny the petition, and author an alternative, or accept the petition and agree to initiate rulemaking. And just one thing to remember is that whatever the board decides on Wednesday on this, there haven't been any changes in the parts per million with respect to these products or these pesticides that are not currently listed in rule. That default action level hasn't seen any appreciable change by the EPA or by any other agency at this point. And I'll stop there. Cassidy, anything that you want to offer that I've forgotten to talk about?
I think you're good. I'm here for any questions and backup.
Sure, thank you.
No questions today,
Okay.
at least. Yeah.
I would offer that the recommendation is pretty comprehensive. The analysis was pretty comprehensive. There were more attachments than we usually provide, but I think there's a pretty good background on why the agency went with that 0.1 parts per million for DDT and those other collection of pesticides that the Department of Agriculture tests for. All right, and that concludes our presentation for today. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right.
We'll see you Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the day
That's
after
right.
tomorrow for the board meeting. So just so we can all keep track of what day of the week it is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And that just takes us to board member executive assistant reports. Justin, anything to add?
Not today. Thank you, Chair.
Jim?
Nope, nothing today. Thank you.
Nothing from me. Okay. See you all later. Have a great day, and we'll be back at 10 on Wednesday for the regular board meeting. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.
Thank you.